Hey everybody, I am the company's expert and welcome to my video on what is innovation. We're going to talk about innovation from the perspective of running a business, from a very small business like a side hustle, all the way up to a very large business like a multinational corporation. We're going to define it, we're going to talk about its pros and cons, and then we're going to talk about the people who specialize in innovation and, generally speaking, their pros and cons also. So let's dive in. Now, right off the hop, I got to say, innovation is a very trendy topic. For the last 10 years or so, everybody's been talking about innovation to the point of tedium. And the reality is that although everybody loves to say that they embrace innovation and they think about it every day, very few organizations actually do. It's great PR to say it, but it actually is very expensive and requires a hell of a lot of discipline and focus to actually walk the talk. So what actually is innovation? Well, when I use this word, you probably think of large revolutionary change, where an organization or a company comes in and they change everything about a certain thing, and we're in a whole new world. Now, that type of large-scale innovation does exist, but usually, innovation refers to something much more mundane. It refers to innovation on a very small scale. So think about this for a second. If you go to work and you work at a job and you make a tiny tweak to the process you use every day to do your job, and it makes you just a tiny little bit more efficient, well, that, my friend, is innovation. And that's usually how innovation manifests itself, in little teeny tiny tweaks to our existing process. And if you think about it, if everyone in an organization made those kind of tweaks, maybe one a day, every day, after a year, you could probably get some measurable improvement that would lead to more profitability and more agility and better quality and a whole bunch of other good things, right? This is the innovation that most organizations experience, and it's what helps them the most, okay? If you do large innovation, like world-changing innovation, that usually comes in the form of an R&D department, a research and development department. There are pros and cons to having an R&D department, but with the exception of a possible R&D department, innovation is not a department of an organization. It's more of a culture. It's more of a way of thinking and a set of values. Okay, the fact that you are going to try to improve what you do every single day, and this is okay, and this is what you should be doing. Now, the other side of innovation is the change management department. Innovation and change management usually go hand in hand. When you make a change to how people do their work and how people behave, change management usually follows on its heels to roll out that change and to make sure that everybody understands it, everybody embraces it, and answers everyone's questions about it. Okay, so those two initiatives work together, innovation and change management. Now, let's talk about the pros and cons of innovation. Well, in the pros side, innovation basically enables every department of your business to win. Okay, it allows every department of your business, every function in your organization to not only stay efficient and not only improve to keep pace of improvements out in the business environment, but it also allows you to stay on top of changes and adapt to changing situations, changing economic conditions, and the changing nature of industries that we have to operate within. Okay, so innovation is definitely something that is not just nice to have, it's pretty much essential to have any kind of long-term success. Because the world is changing and we need to change with it. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but it's true. However, in the cons side, the cons of innovation is that, as I kind of gave you a hint of before, there's revolutionary change and there's also evolutionary change. Evolutionary change is when you tweak a little piece of an existing process, but revolutionary change, that's when you throw out the entire process and you start with something completely different. Okay, there's evolutionary change and revolutionary change. Now, the problem with innovation is that if your organization is set up with management initiatives like lean manufacturing and lean approach, And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge proponent of lean. I'm actually a master black belt in lean. But the problem is that things like lean, they are perfect tools for evolutionary change. They will allow you to make little tweaks to existing processes that will see tremendous improvements over time, but they're not the tool for revolutionary change. And sometimes it's just time to go back to the drawing board and start with something new. Because maybe the thing that you have now, it's been around since 1920, and no matter how much you tweak it, it's just never going to solve the problem and keep pace with the rest of the world. It's time for something new. And as a result, if we tune our organization to a culture of evolutionary innovation, that might not be the way forward. And it can give us a false sense of security, and it can lead us to not read the warning signs. Now, another thing I want to mention just about innovation is that a lot of people think that innovation has to be something entirely 100% original. It doesn't. In order to innovate, you don't have to think of something that no other human being has ever thought of before. Okay? Innovation also includes taking ideas and concepts from other industries, other situations, and applying them or adapting them to your specific situation. If you do that, that's innovation, my friend. You are moving forward, you are implementing change, and that's what it's all about. In fact, over 99% of all innovation takes this form. Very, very rarely does innovation involve thinking something up that's 100% original that no human being has ever thought of before or ever done before. That is extremely rare. Now, let's talk about the people that choose to specialize in innovation. Now, generally speaking, okay, these people, they have some strengths and weaknesses. And one of their strengths for sure is these are people that are wanting to move forward. Okay, they don't simply accept the status quo. They don't think that the status quo is the only way of doing things, which if you've spent your entire career in one business, you might tend to think falsely. Just because you haven't seen another way of doing it doesn't mean that there are no other ways of doing it. So these people are great to have. They are always pushing us out of our comfort zone to move with the world and to even get ahead of the world. So these people are really, really valuable to organizations. Okay? Now, the con, however, of these type of people, generally speaking, there's actually a couple, but one of them is the flip side of this. It's that they might be wanting to change the status quo, but they can be ignorant sometimes of what has led to the status quo, because usually the way we do things is done like that for a reason. It has solved some problems in the past. And so what we can fall into the trap of is changing things, but not really improving. We change, we go one step forward, but then we go one step back because we have changed something that was actually there for a reason that we were ignorant of, and it was solving problems that we were unaware of. So when we change it, all of a sudden those old problems reappear. So that's one big problem. That's why we have to manage innovation and make sure that we're moving 100% forward and not just simply churning and changing, but not actually going anywhere. The other big con of people who focus on innovation is that there's a bit of an intellectual trap here that sometimes people fall into, and that is they ignore the voice of the customer. You see, the nature of innovation a lot of times is that everybody's first reaction to it is negative. They think, well, why did you change that? I'm familiar with the old way of doing things. I understand the old way of doing things. I don't like this new thing you're doing. I don't want to learn something new. And besides, you can't do it any other way than the way it's been done before. That's everybody's first reaction. Now imagine your customer. If you make a change, an innovative change for a technical reason that you're 100% behind, but your customer might not have wanted that change. They might be apprehensive of it. They might not see the benefit of it. Oh, sure, you see the benefit. Maybe it's lower cost to manufacture your product or something. But if they don't see an immediate benefit, and they have the standard reaction that most people do for innovation, which is a negative one, that can lead to your business backfiring because of the innovation, and profitability goes down and you have all kinds of problems. So I hope you found this video interesting. This was a longer one. Thank you so much for listening this long. You guys are awesome, and I hope to see you on my next video. Take care.